There are a whole bunch of Trumpists and even some non-Trump Republicans who are getting hugely bamboozled about the job market and as a result, the state of the economy. So let's first talk about if you want to analyze how an economy is doing. I've always said you can't look at one thing. The stock market is a popular thing to look at. If the stock market's up, we've got a good economy. If it's down, we've got a bad economy. But it's only one piece. It only affects, on average, the wealthier who disproportionately own shares of stock. So by itself, it doesn't tell us how the economy is doing at all. The unemployment rate is another piece, but the one that's widely published, which is called the U3, you don't have to understand too much about this, but when we hear about, oh, unemployment is 3.7%, that's what's called the U3. It falls very short of telling us everything that we need to know. Inflation and the consumer price index is another element of how an economy is doing. The strength of the dollar affects other aspects of our economy. The quality of the jobs that people have, wage growth versus wage contraction or wage stagnation. And very often this becomes completely politicized. And in the end, any casual observer of politics and economics loses what it actually is that is taking place. You have Republicans saying Republican presidents have great job markets and economies. Democratic presidents have bad ones. The opposite true for Democrats. And what I've been trying to do is to get past that. So, for example, I told you during the 2012 presidential campaign, whether Obama wins re-election or whether Mitt Romney wins, the economy will likely be pretty good the next 4 years. Republican labor force conspiracy theories were wrong under Barack Obama, but their labor force bragging under Trump is also wrong. It's wrong on both sides of the equation, as the case may be. So the point today is that one big piece that's missing from the great job market that Donald Trump claims is the quality of jobs. There is now a metric for this, which is the Cornell CPA U.S. Private Sector Job Quality Index. And the name isn't so much important, but what it does is it looks at the ratio of high wage, high hours jobs to low wage, low hours jobs. There's two ways that a job could be a low quality job. It could be a low wage job or it could be a low hours job. This index has steadily fallen since 1990 for the last 30 years. Part of this is because of the replacement of lots of jobs that have been lost making things with service jobs that includes restaurants and many others. A whole bunch of the recent job gains, not just under the Trump administration, but under Obama as well, have been in retail, leisure, hospitality. That includes restaurants and other parts of industry. Waste management is another area. The sectors that have been growing pay a far lower weekly income than the manufacturing jobs and other jobs that have been going away, either because they've been eliminated or moved overseas. So the top line U3 rate, that unemployment rate that's often publicized, the one Trump brags about, that's under 4%, is low. Donald Trump, of course, when it was low under Obama, said the numbers were phony. Now he brags about those numbers as evidence of a great job market. But the more important thing is that the quality of the jobs keeps getting worse. And because the income levels of the high quality jobs keep going up while low quality jobs don't, this is furthering inequality. The gap is growing even more in the United States. Now, it's important to also note, very often the argument is made that when you have a low U3 unemployment rate, you have a lot of people working two jobs, and that's a sign that actually the economy is weak. This is very often a red herring, and it's a red herring here. If you actually look at the number of people working two jobs right now, it's quite low historically. So I don't, I know that that's a talking point I could use if I merely wanted to play partisan politics. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm actually to tell you what the truth is in the real world. The right loves using that talking point. Let's not use it, okay? We don't need to. This is where we come back to our strategy from the left, from the side that wants the socially democratic reforms. We can't pretend that a pretty good economy isn't pretty good. By the standards that are used to measure economies, the economy is pretty good right now. A lot of it has nothing to do with Donald Trump whatsoever. But let's focus on the things that aren't going well. People are working jobs that they hate to keep health care. That's terrible, okay? Wage stagnation, really bad. Inequality, terrible and furthered by what we're talking about here, the replacement of quality jobs with low quality jobs. Lack of democratic workplaces. We've talked about the democratization of the workplace. That's a problem. Stock market, to the extent that it benefits some people, it's riding high. It's not going to last forever. It never does. We lose credibility when we attack them in the factually indefensible ways that they attack us. But we don't need to do that because there is plenty of bad to go around. And that's where we should be focusing our energies. And to be perfectly frank, it favors the policies we're advocating for, separating healthcare from employment, democratizing the workplace, dealing with inequality, whether it's with a higher progressive marginal tax rate, taxing capital gains at ordinary income. We have all the different tools at our disposal. All of the problems that are really the problems now point to the reforms we want to make. So let's not, maybe miss the forest for the trees is not the right metaphor here, but let's not do what they do when we don't need to do it. From a moral perspective, let's not stoop to their level, but it also doesn't benefit us because focusing on the real problems points to the solutions being the suggestions we've been making, social democrats have been making for a very long time. Do you feel like you just don't have enough time to become as intellectually well-rounded as you would like to be, that there are just not enough hours in your week for you to read all of the books that you want to read? One of our sponsors is called Blinkist, and it's an app that lets you consume an entire nonfiction book in 15 minutes. It's only about $8 a month, but you can try it for free for a week and get 25% off a subscription when you go to Blinkist.com/Pakman. What Blinkist does is take thousands of popular nonfiction books and condense them into either text or audio that you can read or listen to in just 15 minutes. And what you get is all of the most important ideas and information from the book. Imagine being able to listen to an entire nonfiction book in the amount of time it takes you to drive or walk home from work. I've just finished listening to Upheaval by Jared Diamond. Jared Diamond, a tremendous author whose work I've previously recommended. Excellent book looking at some of modern history's biggest national crises to figure out how different countries ended up in such precarious situations. Blinkist has totally transformed how I consume information. I love it. Of course, I read a book in its entirety when I can, but there are simply just so many books that I want to read and would not have the time for if it weren't for Blinkist. They have books on politics, economics, philosophy, science, you name it. You can try it out yourself, totally free for a week, and get 25% off if you decide to subscribe just by going to Blinkist.com/Pakman. I've put the link right underneath this video.